Mercedes-AMG Interview Lounge.
Hey, everyone, it's Miley Cyrus. Hi, Miley.
Hello.
I was hoping everyone wouldn't think that's my intro. Like, hey, everybody, it's Miley Cyrus, but it's your voice. But we kind of sound the same, so I could understand.
Yeah, you have a lower voice than me. I haven't gone through puberty.
I would understand the confusion for sure. Your puppy is so cute.
Your nephew, Ollie.
My nephew, Ollie.
I'm gonna put him down now.
You can now say that you that Kate Moss is your niece. So I adopted a 8-year-old boxer, or an 8-year-old boxer who was being bred it's somewhere like 8 years old, totally overbred, and she was dropped off at a fire station and abandoned. And of course I got called, like, you love dogs, looking for a foster. I actually took her to set of Midnight Sky, was thinking like, oh, maybe someone on the crew, I could kind of like, shop her around, see if anyone, kids are wanting a dog. And the first thing someone said to me who was doing our lighting said, oof, a face only a mother can love. And then I realized that I was her mother from there on out. No one was really wanting her.
Aww,
and yes,
okay.
She's very big, a very stinky, messy girl, and her name is Kate Moss. It just felt like love.
So Miley, how many pets are you up to now?
I have 5 dogs. I have 3 cats. I have like 6 fish. Actually, my fish are kind of my favorite. They're the least maintenance, and they give you a lot of love and loyalty. And I have horses, mini horses, pigs, chickens. I have everything. I have all animals, because you know what? They're actually who I'm looking for, like in a partner in life. It's just like, besides the messiness and having to pick up their poop, but usually that's inevitable with the relationship anyway. So it kind of seems like
true.
I like it that they don't speak.
Yeah.
Well, no, but I'm kind of stuck on how fish give you lots of love. Can you describe that to me? I don't get it, but I'm a furry, fluffy.
You can't get it until you come over. You got to meet my fish, because they are very, very special. And I think it's kind of a reflection of all of us. It depends how I treat them is how they treat me in return. I've never seen any other fish act this way, but I've also never seen another human interact with their fish as freaky as I do, like at the side of the glass, dangling their little shrimps. I mean, I go play with them like I do with my cats in the yarn. So it might have as much to do with me as them.
Well, Gandhi, you have what do you have that you're cuddling up with every night?
Oh, well, currently it's a veiled chameleon, but I have a fish tank too. Remember, I was trying to teach Sushi Blue to respond to me, and he's very intelligent, and it works. You just need a little food and some music and something sparkly.
People think I'm crazy because my fish tank is like right when you walk into my house, and when I come home, he rushes to the side of the tank.
Yes. They love you.
Yes, he loves me.
Danielle has a bearded dragon.
I have a bearded dragon, and he eats carrots and he eats vegetables out of my hand. And he has become such a diva that if I put it in his dish, he like looks up at me like, "Are you kidding me? You need to hand feed me, lady."
So many people I know have bearded dragons and say that they're totally loyal and awesome and like as entertaining as any like cat or dog. So
yes,
maybe we're all cold-blooded. I don't know.
until you can find me a true, real life fire-breathing dragon, I don't want a dragon. Wouldn't it be great to have a dragon as a pet and you could light your joints off of it? That would be so fun.
Hell yeah.
That would have been come in handy so many times.
Okay, we got to talk about some music. Here we are in month 5 of the pandemic, whatever. And I'm so curious. We're all curious to know about, as an artist, what it's like to time out anything you want to release, because the whole world is just whacked. So like, how did you decide, okay, it's time, let's do it?
Well, Elvis, this is what's really, I've never, you and I have spoken a lot over the years, and I've come and seen you, and we've kind of talked through the music and my writing process, and we know each other on that level pretty well. And I would say something that I never really kind of took advantage of, even though it has been available to me for a long time, I've been talking about this a lot, is I grew up making like records for real, like actual albums. I would go and sign them for my fans. They'd line up outside, and I would make physical copies of records. But it always kind of squashed the creative process, because you would have this 6 months of time after you would write something until release. So by the time it got to your fans, there was still a disconnect in your story. You weren't telling your story in real time. And so I have never done it this way. I only wrote this song 6 weeks ago. And the only reason that I was able to produce it so fast and get it to my fans is, one, obviously we've had a lot of time, so there was really nothing for me to do but eat, sleep, and breathe this project. But also that I think that, especially for me as an artist, how much I change, how much I evolve, and then also just how much the media is kind of writing every detail of my life. It was important for me to take control of that narrative. And so I think this has been a real self-reflective time for everybody. And so in that, I've had a lot of time to think about, you know, it's kind of like you didn't really know what was in there. We're all kind of living on that surface level. And I think all of us are saying living at that surface level just isn't acceptable to us anymore. We want to right our wrongs. We want to cross our T's and dot our I's. And I feel like that's what this record really does for me. I feel like there was a narrative of a story that was being told for me, and I wanted to control that narrative. And it felt like that was a good time to really, you know, I wanted to articulate it properly. And I felt like this time there was no rush, which also was incredible, because usually we're in cycles and structure. So there was no rush.
So you're living your life. And even though, as you say, the press and the world is putting your narrative out there from their point of view, I would assume that coming back and dotting your I's and crossing your T's actually lets you take another perspective look at your life. And it all validates what you're doing, your decisions you're making. And I don't know. It seems like every time we get together, this turns into like a psychological session. Are we okay?
That's because I'm a little. Everyone knows that about me, but I would say that the one thing, you know, I've been really like careful and delicate about the way that I look at this kind of COVID-19 time, because there's no way to look at it from a bright side of people are losing people that they love. And it's a really dangerous and terrifying and scary time for everyone. The one thing that I would say it's done is give everyone space to reflect, because we're always moving so fast that I think we were just kind of, especially when it all first started, we were saying, oh, can't everything go back to normal? It's like, was it ever normal? And can we go back to the way that it was? Do we really want to go back to the way that it was? So I think now we're rewriting, all of us are saying, this is what we find acceptable. This is what we can accept. And the other thing that I really loved about it, in so many ways, I know in the beginning, a lot of people were like, kind of literally cleaning house. But once you get past the physical and surface, you start cleaning house within yourself. And what I really was able to do was go through and claim what was mine to own, what no longer served me, and what I was carrying around that didn't belong to me to begin with, and having that release. And now this song is kind of that thrown up onto paper.
Wow. So it's a relief. It's like, oh, you know what? Miley, we were talking the other day about how the pandemic has done this thing to all of us. Our relationships with everyone and everything have changed. Relationship with food, with sex, with music, relationship with our house we live in, with our cars, our relationship with the earth, the way we watch movies and Netflix. I mean, everything has changed in our lives. So it's time for fresh perspective. And it's sometimes difficult to like give yourself permission to move forward when you're like watching the news every day, where it's a frightening news cycle, you know. But this sounds like what this album is, with especially the single, but Into the Album, means for you, right?
Well, and especially for me, I think one, you know, lyric that I would ask everyone to kind of ponder and really think about is, what does it mean to say forever and ever, no more? To me, I feel like we've got to start allowing some detachment to the word forever. I think that I actually have this idea, not in the near future, because this does not need to be a priority, even though I'm sure I'll end up just doing it. I want to write realistic children's stories, because I don't like that in stories we show the little girl and say, this is your best friend forever. Maybe one of you are still best friends with your best friend from when you were 3, but like I only know the invisible friend that I had when I was 3. Everyone else got way too annoying and started having differences of opinions and political views, and they had to go. So yep. I'm just thinking that this idea of forever, and you're villainized and you're a failure if forever isn't successful, which it really is setting people up for some mental health issues and for some depression. I know I really struggled with it, because when I thought I would be with someone forever and it was labeled to me that I'm a failure, which by the way, it takes 2 people to make forever work, but I know that I'm the only one that ever does anything wrong. But so you say, okay, so I'm like, you know, so I'm a failure because forever didn't work for me. And like, then when you think about all these other things that didn't last, you know, when you start thinking, it really causes, I think, a lot of stress and triggers a lot of things. And so I really had to like unlearn my relationship. You're talking about your relationship. I had to unlearn my relationship to the word forever. I try to avoid it.
Right. Well, I think I think the word unlearn is the best roadmap we could all have, because we start out as kids being so innocent and so open-minded to everything. Then we start learning all this BS. It kind of just holds us down.
Realistic children's books. I'm telling you.
Right.
Like, I want to write this book. You know, when they're like, oh yeah, the dog went out to talk to the cat about its feelings. No, the dog wants to eat the cat. You got to tell your kids it wants to eat the cat. Because then they're like, what? I was just taking it out to the dog. And it's like, now you've seen a bloody mess. The cat is all over the place.
Wow.
Like, I just, you know what? You're setting your kids up. You're setting your kids up to see some horrible things. We got to tell them the realistic.
Well, that is.
You can say.
I agree.
That is realistic. That is realistic. Yeah, I know Gandhi and especially Gandhi agrees with you. And Danielle with
Yes,
kids,
I do.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Realistic. Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm telling you.
Candy coated a little bit.
No way. My immigrant
No.
parents said sugarcoating gives you cavities, and they would just tell me things outright. And I'll tell you what, it set me up to really not be disappointed about things, because I didn't believe that those things existed.
Well,
I-
and Miley, when my son learned about lobsters, I remember when I used to take him to the grocery store to visit the lobsters in the lobster tank, and he would say, "Oh, Mom, look, somebody adopted all the lobsters," and I would say, "Yeah, you're right, they did. They got new homes." Then one day we were at a party and there were dead lobsters on someone's plate, and he turned to me and he said, "Ma, you lied. Those lobsters didn't get adopted," and he realized I had lied, and
that's what I'm telling you. If he could have bought a book written by me, I could have saved him a lot of heartbreak. It's not good when you see it. I actually looked at this. This is a really funny kind of like a visualization. There was like a kind of collection of crunched up cars that on the bumpers had said, "Don't worry, be happy." And we're like, you absolutely need to worry when you're driving. When you worry when you're driving, you turn your blinker on, you're worried about what's going to happen. Don't worry, be happy people are extremely dangerous. We want to be realistic and we want to be logical. No, don't worry, be happy. We need worry. That's why we're wearing our masks, washing our hands, staying at home. There is healthy worry. And so people, when they kind of label you as a worrier or having anxiety, or even kind of like the stigma around fear, fear can be healthy. There's healthy versions of fear.
You can worry and be happy at the same time too. Sometimes your worry is going to save yourself and other people, and it's okay for you to worry about things.
Right. Like I've got alligators that are in the lake in my backyard. You should worry when you go by the lake that you're not going to get eaten by an alligator.
Yes, we all
That's good
worry.
fear.
We all worry. I think fear and anxiety can be a healthy thing. You just, like anything, you got to learn how to control it and turn it on and off, and know when you feel like you want to leave those worries aside. And it seems like worry is good.
You were talking about wanting to write realistic children's books. How are you going to tell kids where babies come from? I want to hear your version.
Okay, it's me. These are the things. It's realistic. Do you want me to go in on this on air? Elvis, do you not know? Do I need to
Yes.
I mean,
right now?
Are you actually going to talk about daddy takes his wiener and puts it in mommy? And
Yes, but I'm also going to talk about the wonderful modern tools that we have for those who can't have children in the most natural way, can also have babies. So there's also one, I'll go fully into it. I can go into the world, how we can like create the lives and the families that we want to create. I'm going to go deep into it. And I'm also going to draw a picture of a penis.
Yes.
With little smiley faces on the balls.
But no, that's not real. They're going to be like set up for failure. Mommy, why don't my balls have smiley faces
If
on
you're
them?
down there, just draw a
Exactly.
little smiley face, and now they do.
I want to see that. Mommy's going to draw smiley faces on your scrotum now. Be still.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's not actually a drawing book. It's all with pictures taken by my personal cell phone. That's a selling point that my publisher will be using to push these sales.
Oh.
Yeah.
You have thought this through. Midnight Sky. Let's talk about the song. Let's talk about the video and what it was like putting a video together for you.
Okay, so even to say like conceptualize, I want to let you know, like Elvis, for real, this was like directing on not like one. Actually, I got very offended by someone who called it a mood board. This was not a mood board. This was with shot lists, camera operations, a very specific lighting, learning what kind of lenses I like, really getting behind the camera and even operating sometime. This is not a mood board, not a conceptual, idea of here's what I want someone to make happen for me. And it was really, really good for because I eventually, I guess I've kind of been thinking, the age that I'm at now too, it's like this kind of moment where, like anyone that would be my age, it seems like I would have it all figured out, but I don't. And now I'm trying to figure out, what do I want to do with like my life? Like anyone else my age, what do I want to do with my life? And I think something that I was thinking was I really would like to write, direct, and produce films. And I never had a good gauge of how close or how far from that goal I would be. Actually, when I was working in Savannah doing the last song, I went towards SCAD, and that was something that I really wanted to do. And then I realized I'm learning so much more on these sets by working hand in hand with directors. And so really getting in a good understanding of my camera and what, I was just in the studio with Dua, and I wrote down all the lenses you want them to use and all the lenses you don't. And I'm like, you will always love me for the rest of your life by knowing you want the Astera beauty dish. And so then I wrote it all down. And I just think it was really important for me to, really get in there. I've always kind of conceptualized and created. And I mean, no one else would be making videos where people are cutting their hands off and like goo would be coming out. Like we can't stop her floating around in a pool of money. No one's actually that weird. So I was always conceptualizing, but it was really cool in a non-power trip kind of way to be able to have some men on set, because a lot of my life was men behind the camera telling me what to do, telling me what angles look good and all these things. And now I was able to say, no, this is what I like. This is how I want it to be shot. And I also learned how I'll be as a director, how I'll talk to my crew, how I would talk to my cast, because I think we learned through a little bit of hurt too. And it's been hard growing up as like, a female in the industry, and especially some directors, a lot of them being men, talking about how you look on camera and things like this. It definitely, I had to do, again, some unlearning of some of that. So I learned a lot from how I don't want to be and how I do want to be. And so it was a really, really collaborative experience with everyone I had, but it was definitely, I just jumped into the deep end, and I felt really happy that I could swim because I didn't know what was going to happen.
Wow. There's something to be said for it. At the end of the day, it's just you're going to go take a nap or go to bed or have a glass of wine, whatever, and you really feel satisfied from that day. That day
Yes.
changed your life. So I guess it's our goal to all of us try to have more of those days. It sounds like you had those days putting this video together. Good for you.
Yes, we were just
sounds
talking
awesome.
about your dog, and when you picked it up, some weird things happened. Of course,
Yes.
I was giving my big speech to my whole crew. I started crying, telling them like how much this meant to me, whatever. And I had Kate Moss with me on the leash, and she decided to do a huge diarrhea right in front of the entire crew.
Oh,
And that was the last
Yes.
moment. That was their last memory of me as my self-directing experience. I was decked in Saint Laurent with my nails on. These are not good poop cleaning nails.
Oh,
It was not good.
Oh.
And so I'm like standing there, I'm like so like triumphant, feeling so powerful. And then Kate Moss just brought me right back down to reality. And that's why we love animals.
Yeah, absolutely. They control us, and we're totally fine with it.
Oh yeah,
Look,
this
Miley,
is her house.
It's great seeing you as always. I can't wait till we see you in person. I know you're going to be part of the iHeartRadio Music Festival.
Yep.
That's going to be shooting soon. And so thank you for being a part of that. And thank you for giving some new music. I want to see this video now. I want to see what this is all about.
I can't wait for you to. It's inspired, obviously you see the disco balls, kind of like I wanted it to be a night that Debbie Harry would have been playing CBGB. Then she went to go have dinner with Warhol at Indochine. And then she went to Studio 54 to go get wasted with Jerry Hall and Cher. So that's pretty much what happened.
You know what? You just named all the dreamy things I want to do in one night in New York City. Damn it to hell. I know. I'm old, but not that old. I would love to ride into Studio 54 on a horse with Halston. Who wouldn't want to do that?
Yeah, right? Yes, Halston. You'll see what this video is like a Debbie dream night.
All right. Thank you for coming on with us, Miley. Let's play it. This is Midnight Sky. We love you. Thank you so much for spending time with us today.
Thank
so
you.
much. Thank you, everybody. Have a good one. Stay safe.
You too.
You too.
Bye.
Congratulations.
The Mercedes AMG Interview Lounge.